allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I call this meeting of the West Burlington City Council to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Crowner.
Here.
Raleigh.
Here.
Stewart. Here. Lees.
Here.
West.
Here.
Need a motion to perfect and approve the agenda.
So moved. Support.
Let's report. Any questions or polls or anything? Roll call.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Stewart. Aye. Lees.
Aye.
West.
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Carried. Consent agenda, please.
Motion to approve as presented.
Support. Have a motion with support. Any questions? Roll call.
Stewart. Aye. Lees.
Aye.
West.
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Motion approved. And for those that are at home and watching, the consent agenda includes the approve the minutes of the regular council city meeting on June 6th, approve city administrator Gifford's attendance at the Iowa CMA conference, approve Class C beer license renewal for BS Mini Mart, approve Class C beer license renewal for Casey's General Store, approve the Broadway's liquor license application for a one-day outdoor service area on July 4th, approve payment to Tyler Technologies, approve payment to ACO, approve payment to Burlington Waterworks, that's for GE, approve payment to Municipal Waterworks for $1,272.81, approve payment to the City of Burlington for countywide communications, approve payment to Des Moines County Regional Waste Commission, approve payment to Municipal Emergency Services, approve the clerk's financial report for April, approve the clerk's monthly financial report for May, and approve claims as presented in the amount of $1,613,929.82, which breaks down to $80,382.26 from the general fund, $5,645.33 from road use, $2,440 from TIF capital projects, $43 from LMI set aside. Debt service was $1,406,347.50. Equipment replacement for the police for $774.94. Equipment replacement for waters $3,333.33. Equipment replacement for ADM is $3,333.34. Replacement for sewer is $3,333.33. The 2011 GO bond is $8,697.35. Water account is $39,175.72. Beaverdale escrow is $19.75. Westwood Hills escrow is $19.75. Woodsman subdivision escrow is $19.75. The water revenue bond sinking fund is $20,722.50. Sewer is $35,672.58. Medical insurance reserve is $1,137.83. Flex account is $282.07. And the 4th of July celebration is $2,549.49. That brings us to the grand total of $1,613,929.82. Did we have a roll call?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. So we'll move on with committee reports. We'll start with finance. Rod?
Don't really have anything necessarily related to finance. Leslie or Dan might. I would mention, of course, 4th of July celebration is 2 weeks from today. It's moving ahead very well. Raffle ticket sales are a little slow. Would mention to the audience listening in here that if you haven't bought your raffle tickets yet, which we appreciate you buying some, and if you need to sell some for your club or organization, they're available to do that on a $1-for-$1 split, and it's a pretty good fundraiser. So other than that, I don't have anything else.
Do you have anything, Dan?
I do not.
Leslie? Streets.
I don't have anything, but Brandy probably does. Yeah.
Not a lot today. And staff today, we were talking about the drinking fountain over at the Ball Diamonds and Community. It's one of the last drinking fountains that we have that still works for the most part. Vandals have destroyed the other three in Pat Klein Park, and we're having trouble. We thought we built these so that they couldn't damage them, but it's to the point now where we can't even get parts for them. So after this weekend, when they have a baseball tournament over in Community, we'll probably be turning that one off over there. And eventually, unless council has an issue with it, probably be removing the drinking fountains from the parks. It's just a constant battle trying to maintain them. And we were talking this morning, most of the time when you see people walking around the parks, they have water bottles with them and everything else. And like I said, unless council has an issue, we'll probably be removing those.
I have no trouble with that, Randy. I think you know how I feel. Years ago, we needed the water fountains. That's where we got our water, and they're not needed anymore. They're just a irritant for the kids messing with them. I got no trouble with just making them go away. It's too bad.
Sad state of affairs.
You have an opinion? Do you have anything for streets, Dan?
I do not.
Public safety. We have our new chief.
I just want to take this opportunity to thank my staff. In the past 2 weeks, they've handled 4 felony arrests that were big cases. A felony possession of controlled substance where Southeast Iowa Narcotics Task Force assisted on it, a robbery, car burglaries, they were solved, and that attempted murder, DCI helped us. They did an excellent job working on those cases. They came in during day shift. Narrow banding for the police department is going to start on Friday. We received the one radio that you guys approved, the portable, but the other 2 radios for the squad cars are on back order and won't be here till July 11th, even though they were on the budget line for this year. It's probably going to flow it into the new budget. We have made arrangements with EAC that will keep those 2 squad cars going on Monday if it can't be arranged, so the 2 squad cars don't have to go down. And the rifle locks that you approved not too long ago arrived today, and they'll be going in the cars, so the rifles will be back in the cars secure this time. So,
Chief, tell me again when that date is that the new radios.
the new radios July 11th. They said they wouldn't be until tentatively right now.
When is the switchover date?
The switchover is this Friday to narrowband.
And you're going to get along okay with?
We're going to meet with EAC. Should be able to. They have some software. These are old radios. And they actually found the software. It took them a while, and they called us back, and they might be able to arrange that on Monday.
So you don't foresee any problems?
I'm hoping not. I'll know more late after Monday.
Anybody have any questions for Frank? Now our other chief, Mike.
Buildings, flex sale, the sprinkler system was tested and approved. They're finishing up their interior items in the addition. I would look for a final sometime mid next week. School sprinkler system plans have been received and approved for the multi-purpose room that's going up right now. The exterior walls and structural supports are going up. Bridgeway, the interior work continues. Wally Day's third condo is being framed in now. Klein Center, all the buildings are in different phases of completion. Building 3 is at about 90% completed. The rest of them are in all other areas of process and progress. And I am touring with the state fire marshal Monday afternoon out there. Liquor license inspections continue. Rental inspections, we're scheduling and inspecting the final ones for 2012. And we have 3 active court cases in district court for city ordinance violations. On the fire side, our certifications testing was held on the 16th of June. All the firefighters that participated that day passed their practical. We're waiting on their written results. Narrow banding for us is completed tomorrow. It'll probably be an all-day project, but we'll be done tomorrow. I have talked twice with Dave Graybill, who is the CEO and founder of the Pink Hills group out of Phoenix. He's wanting more information. I gave Kara a copy of what they were requesting. They'd like to have it by the 6th of July, basically a tentative setup of what's going to happen with them. And they're trying to determine if they were going to come in Wednesday night or Thursday morning, depending on what the schedule's going to be. I am going out to dinner with him when I'm in Denver at the FRI and see what else he has. He also will be bringing some board members with him on his trip here. And the last thing, I'd like to apologize to the council for the end of last council meeting. It wasn't very professional on my part, and I do want to apologize to the council.
Mike, you mentioned the state fire marshal was coming in there?
Yeah, they come in for CMS, which is Medicaid and Medicare. They have to give approval, and so I have to go with them when they come in. This is only about, well, the general contractor out there said he was going to get me a parking stall since I'm out there so much, that he was going to go ahead and get me a parking stall. And the last thing I got, E1 has put out a new national brochure, and the 95-foot aerial is on the front of the national brochure, and our specs are on the back. And these just came out today. We were speccing our AFG grant pumper today, and these are just hot off the press out of Ocala, Florida. And it was amazing that our truck is on the front cover now nationwide.
Where's that picture? Sitting in front of the station?
Sitting in front of our station.
Right.
Yep. So that's all I've got.
Mike, thank you for your comments.
No problem.
Is that the donation? The donation?
Yeah. The Eagles Club is going to do a presentation for us.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am Bob Boyle. I'm past worthy president of the Eagles Club here in Burlington, the Fraternal Order of Eagles. For the last 4 years, we have donated to the fire department. And Mike, I am pleased to announce, I know you put in for $3,000. We actually give you an extra $1,000. We give you $4,000, and here's the new application for next year. This has been a good program for us. We have a lot of the West Burlington Fire Department that actually belong to the Eagles Club, and I always have thought this has been a great opportunity to donate money to a worthy cause.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
On this grant, Mike Stewart was the one that did
Thanks,
all the
Bob.
paperwork and everything for it. So we've got a lot of guys doing grant work. Skylar's working on the federal grants. Mike's been working on a lot of the local grants. And I've been writing some grants. So
Mike, is that
it's-
earmarked towards something in particular? I'm sorry?
The AEDs we cut out of the budget, they went out and found the money, so that's plus.
Beautiful.
That's what we like to see. If we have to cut something, it's good that they find other places to get that. That way we're not short on equipment that we need.
Anybody have anything else? Utilities.
I don't have anything, Randy.
I don't have anything tonight.
Oh, I do want to remind everybody, next Monday at 5, we're going to have a Pink Heels meeting, if anyone would like to attend.
At 5.
Have we had anything on Autumn Lane yet about lights or anything brought forward, or any information
On what?
on the lights on Autumn Lane anymore?
I'll have to check on that again because they were supposed to send somebody over to talk with Randy, and apparently they haven't done that yet. I need to call that Nancy
from anybody.
again.
Because we were talking about 2?
Well, we don't know. That's what we have to have their experts tell us what.
Okay. I just popped in my head. Okay, thank you.
Sanitation.
I don't have anything, but I see we got the lift station coming up here in just a little bit.
That's all I have, is just what we're going to talk about here shortly.
Other staff reports. Kelly?
Not tonight.
Leslie? right. We'll go on to citizens' inquiries, and I see we've got quite a few this evening. This would be the time for you to come up and voice your opinions. I need you to come up and give me your name and address, and if you can pull that microphone so that we can hear you.
I'm Marcia Frazee. I live at 1002 West Mount Pleasant Street. I've lived in the same house for 70 years. I just have a statement I would like to read to you tonight. I've never been to a city council meeting before tonight. When I mark my ballot for the city council, for a city council member, I do so with faith that the person elected has a strong interest in West Burlington and is willing to make wise decisions for the betterment of our city and also to keep my taxes affordable. I'm here because at the last city council meeting, you forgot about me and the other taxpayers. Briefly, I would like to state my understanding of the June 6th City Council meeting based on information taken from the Hawkeye and the Des Moines County News. At the last meeting, Mr. Gifford, the city administrator, who is hired by the City Council and has the responsibilities and the knowledge to prepare figures for the budget, recommended a 4% increase in wages for Mr. Heim and explained the rationale for this amount. Councilman West asked Mr. Heim if he was satisfied with this raise. Mr. Heim responded with what he thought were his accomplishments for the last 16 months. His last statement, quoting from the Des Moines County News, "You didn't know what you were getting when you hired me, but by now my track record should show you." There was some discussion among the members both for and against the 8% raise. Dan West made the motion, seconded by Therese Lees, that Mr. Heim be given an 8% increase in pay, voted and passed 3-2. My concerns to this action are, number one, the council did not follow the city administrator's recommendation for the 4% increase. Number two, members did not question how this large amount of increase, the 8%, would figure into the budget or where the monies would come from. Number three, members did not inquire as to what research had been made into comparing non-union and professional employees' salary increases with other Iowa cities our size. Since that meeting, I have learned that most cities in Iowa have granted a 2% increase in pay for non-union and professional employees. It is my understanding that in Norwalk, Iowa, a small town south of Des Moines, approximately 9,000 population, didn't hire a full-time fire chief until they were over 8,000 in population. The rest of the firefighters continue to be volunteers. West Burlington's population is around 3,500. Based on the city council members' lack of thought and discussion, I ask that this city council rescind Mr. Heim's 8% increase in pay. Thank you.
Could we discuss this?
Is that what we do?
Sure.
I've never been here before. I have no idea.
I'd love to.
Okay. Does anybody
Be
else?
comfortable if you'd like.
Okay.
Can I explain a
Mr.
couple?
Shannon has something else to say. Can he?
Can I visit with some of the things you said?
Sure.
I take offense to the lack of thought comment there at the end. Oftentimes, we don't follow Mr. Gifford's recommendations. Oftentimes, we don't. Our situation here in West Burlington, when we decided to hire a half-time fire chief, half-time building inspector, we're in a very unique situation here. We didn't know what to pay. We knew what we had available to pay a person to do that job. We hired a guy that had 30 years' experience out in Kansas, and state law out there is that he can't work anymore. But he has all this experience, all this building code knowledge. It's incredible. Can I give you an example that Mr. Gifford brought up? When they built the hospital out here, our previous building code guy couldn't begin to understand what all was needed out there. We had to pay $58,000. The Klein Center's going up out there now. Huge building. We haven't spent an extra dime. Mike's been able to do that because he's got the experience, the knowledge to know how to do it. That's just on the building code side. On the fire department side, when he got here,
Our previous fire chief wasn't even trained up to firefighter 1 status. Right now, our entire department is trained at firefighter 1 and headed toward firefighter 2. The equipment that had fallen into disrepair, the procedures that had fallen into disrepair because of a part-time volunteer, couple hours here, couple hours there position, the turnaround down there is incredible. And I am the biggest critic of the fire department, have been since the day I sat down here. When we talked about Mike's wages last council meeting, there was nothing premeditated about it. Councilman Gifford had a recommendation. I had some thoughts. I didn't share them with either of the other 2 people that voted the way I voted. But I looked at his wages that we're currently paying, and I said, you know what? Compared to other departments, and he's running 2 departments. He's running 2 departments. If we go over to the police department, here's the wages for the chief, the first lieutenant, and then the sergeant, the guy that works 3rd shift at night. If that pay raise, he'd be right there with the sergeant, 3rd guy in line. I felt he should at least be between the police chief and the first lieutenant. The numbers to get him there, the $4,000, the 67 cents per hour raise or whatever it comes out to, turned out to be 8%, which seems to be a number that is bothering people. I don't feel like I gave him an 8% raise. I feel like I recommended that we give him a salary befitting his job performance, which every one of us agreed before I made my motion. Every one of us agreed it was outstanding. The comments made, and you go back and look at them online before I ever spoke, was what a great job he's doing, how fortunate we were to get him. How fortunate were we? Were we 2,000 fortunate or were we 4,000 fortunate? I made the motion that we were 4,000 fortunate. When we hired Mike, we knew we would only have him for a period of time. His home, his heart, his family is out there. He was willing to relocate here and work for us and do an outstanding job, just like Randy does, just like the fire department does. We are blessed with a multitude of great employees and department heads, blessed. And we got lucky again. And I defend the raise that I recommended for him. And I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just trying to justify to you because you tried to watch a football game by seeing one play reported. Okay? The entire meeting was here, and stuff gets reported, little sound bites at the top of the hour, words, hundreds of words in a newspaper article, but you don't get the full thing. You get what human beings decide to print and air. And we didn't take this lightly. I don't take your property taxes lightly. These guys down here that have been sitting on council a lot longer than I have lowered property taxes. We've kept them the same this year.
I bet they have, and I'm proud of them.
None of that is because of a lack of thought. I mean, we get paid $35 a meeting to come and do your bidding. You know, we serve at your pleasure. We do it out of a love and a respect for our community. Not that we're lining our pockets, not that we're doing this without, I mean, it's crazy the amount of work that if you're going to have any intelligence about your votes, you're not doing it for the 35 bucks. Okay, and sometimes I resent it when somebody tells me I'm wrong when they don't know the facts. For the last 2 weeks, I've run into people here and there at the store that, hey, you nut, giving an 8% raise, but nobody's called me. My phone is published. My email is on the city's website. Nobody has contacted me. Okay, but you were talking about me when you came in. You're mad at me, and that's okay. I can take it.
Well, you were the one that made the suggestion.
She would have called me. I would have told you. We sat down, had a nice tea, and talked about it. Since I've been on city council, I have never received an email other than mass-generated things from the NRA. I've never received an email from a citizen of the city of West Burlington. I've received phone calls from a handful of people, the same ones over and over again.
Well, I guess
But
that's your opinion, and my opinion is we are only 3,500 people, and we are not from Kansas. If he wants to run a Kansas fire department, let him go back.
I'm sorry you feel that way, ma'am.
My name's Joe Shannon, and I live at 530 Spring in West Burlington. And I've been in this town 50 years. And I paid taxes in this town 50 years. And when I see 8% raise, it strikes me that I think back and I never hear or I've never heard of many people getting an 8% raise even when the economy is good. In the last few years, all we've heard is talk of recession. And if you think recession hasn't hit West Burlington, you're wrong. You might want to talk to the people that work in a plant in this town that took 30 and 50% wage cuts. They could tell you about it. The city employees, the other city employees, get 2%. And I see them out plowing the street at night and working and what have you, and they get 2%. I admit, I don't have a problem with Mike. I have a problem with the raise. I'm sure he's doing a good job. But then I want to tell you about the retired people. There's a lot of retired people in this town, a lot of them. 3 years they went and got one small raise from Social Security. And insurance pretty well took that up. If they're lucky enough to have a pension, it's flat at best. And if they got a 401k, it's in the tubes. I'm sure you know that. Mm-hmm. And according to an article in the Hawkeye, just this last weekend, that in the United States, the people have lost 40% of their wealth. I can't verify those numbers. That's what was in the Hawkeye. Most cities are trying to cut spending wherever they can. And from my standpoint, I get frustrated that I just can't see where that's been done here. It's tough out on Main Street for the people, taxpayers, that's paying the bill. It just seems to me like sometimes the taxpayer gets thrown under the bus. And I go along with Marcia. I think the raise ought to be rescinded and put in more in line with what the other city employees got. With that, I'll discuss it with you.
Joe, very well spoken. I stand by what I said earlier. I appreciate
I understand that, but out in the real world, it's getting tough, man.
I live there.
I know.
We're all taxpayers also, and
well,
we all work in the community and do that. But you know, so we take those things into consideration also.
I'm sure you do, but you know, Mike knew what the wages was when he came in. It must have been something he wanted to do, or he wouldn't have come.
Well, you know, and you know, you mentioned the 2% thing. That's all union stuff, where Mike is not union. And you know, in my job, I received a much better than 8%. Pay increase 1 year due to performance.
Well, I'm sure glad you did. I worked 42 years and never got an 8% raise. Now, when I got promoted, I got some raises.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, everybody's situation is different. I'm not bragging. I just had a really good year once.
Well, and that's fine.
If I might, Joe.
Yes.
I pulled up some statistics. We had issues with having a public works director to keep that position. We seemed to go through public works directors way back in the early 2000s. We would have one for a while, he didn't like it, went back into the workforce. And we went through that like 3 or 4 times. And then in 2000, Randy Fry became our public works director. And at that time, his pay was $37,000. And that was in July. The following year, in July of 2001, he did a great job. And we gave him another 4% in that July. And the following January, we gave him another 4% because he was doing an astronomical job. So he essentially got like an 8% pay raise in a year's time.
That was back when?
2000.
It was in 2001, in 2002. And then July of 2002, we turned around and gave him another 6% increase because we were trying to bring his pay raise up to where it should be to be in competition with the rest of the employees. Because otherwise, he wouldn't have the same wage. He'd be better off to go back into the bargaining unit with the guys making overtime plowing snow.
But
So
the-
my public works director wasn't gonna get as paid as much as his workers. And I feel that when we hired Mike 20 months ago, 50,000 is what we started with, because we didn't know. We didn't know. We just knew we needed to get a fire chief that we approved, and it wasn't elected by the firefighters. And Mike had the qualifications, as Dan said, to be the fire chief as well as this building inspector. He's got code, he knows codes up the yin-yang that I don't know. And already on the Klein Center, they have had 394 change orders. That's a lot. And it's not done yet. It looks done on the outside, but the inside's not done yet. And if we were to hire an architect, engineer firm to help with us like we did when the GRMC went up, we'd spend close to $60,000 just having them look over the specs and plans and make sure everything's approved. Where Mike, as Dan West has said, he's capable of doing it all, and so far, he saved us $40,000, and we're not done yet. So.
That's just on the one project. There's,
yeah, and they have another big project coming up, another $10 million project coming up. So I'm thinking if he can save me $10,000 a year, he may be worth an 8% pay raise. And actually, it's like $4,000. I know it seems a lot to everybody, but that money will come out of the building permits that he's pulled in over, how much in the building permits so far, Leslie? 60,000?
Yeah, there were around there. There were like 40,000 what we budgeted. I think we budgeted like 35,000. We're way up there this year.
So he's making money for us as well.
Yeah, that's another thing. You've raised most of the fees in town, haven't you?
We haven't raised the fees for a while.
What was on the water bill?
Oh, I thought you were talking about building fees. You're talking about water fees?
Well, yeah.
the water rates went up. We buy our water from Burlington, they raised the rates.
That's a pass-through. We don't profit anything from that. They raised our rates, we had to pass that through. It's a pass-through. It doesn't benefit us in any way.
And
the thing that
Randy's, you know, the economy was a little better on Randy's thing during that time, and he's done a good job. The streets are good and what have you. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, then in 2008, Joe, we gave Randy a 5% pay raise and everybody else got a 3% because he does a great job. He keeps our city nice and clean.
Everybody else
got a 3%.
The union workers?
Non-union.
Or the non-union?
City, the non-union. I mean, he does a great job. I like to keep him here. He lives here in the community, and he keeps our city clean.
Sure he does. He does a good job.
Yep.
All right, Rob.
So, I guess I want to keep him because he's done a great job with our fire department. You know, before, I mean, we don't know it. You don't know that because you're not in the fire department. You don't know what it was like beforehand. How, you know, it just wasn't up to speed. And now everybody is up to a firefighter 1, working towards firefighter 2 to meet the fire codes that are out there now. Even for a volunteer fire department, we have to meet the national fire safety codes.
I understand that.
all we can do is take information presented to us and sift through it. Like in my research, trying to figure out what we should pay a half-time fire chief, that information's tough to get. I mean, the comparison to other cities thing, that's a whole can of worms I hate to open. But you got to look at it to see what other fire, I'll tell you, he's one of the least paid fire chiefs around. There's no doubt about that. Of course, it's not that big of a community, but for the expertise that he has equivalency of 3 college degrees. He just won this huge award that just a few hundred people in the entire world have. We're very fortunate to have the guy. He's the $4,000 raise. He's earned that back a multitude of times, believe me. So it's not all you can't come in here. You can't come in here and argue that I'm taking $4,000 out of your pocket, because he's put $4,000 back into your pocket times 100.
And perhaps we set his salary too low to begin with, but, you know.
We didn't know.
Thank you for your
Yep.
comments, Joe. Anyone else?
I think,
Mr. Nelson?
I think it's, you guys are up, I believe.
Before I go to a different subject, is there anybody else that want to speak to the firefighters?
I'm Deb Worley, Mike Nelson Concrete Paving. This is Mike Nelson.
Yeah, I'm Mike Nelson, Burlington, Iowa.
Yeah. We got your letter about the liquidated damages on the Mall Road paving job, and we'd like to have you reconsider that.
Deb, can you pull that down just a little bit?
Sorry.
Thank you.
We bid this job on these plans and specs that was provided, and in that, the only stipulation that we had was that we had to have one east-west route available at all times, either on the north side or on the south side. So when we bid it, we'd planned on working Houston and Van Wees together. That's the only way it could have been done in that time frame. So we bid it, we got the job. We had our pre-construction meeting on March 24th. At that time, Alliant Energy told us that there was live electric and gas that ran the full length of Van Wees. They said at that meeting they would be on the job on April 4th, and they would be done in 3 weeks, which would have been perfect. But as we all know, they didn't show up until sometime in June, mid to late June, and then they show up for a couple hours, leave, couple hours, leave. They finally got done August 5th. So we start on Houston. The dirt contractor comes in, does removals, does the dirt grading. Now he's ready to go to start digging on Van Wees while the next contractor comes in to put the subbrain in. That was May 18th. That was the day that we needed to be on Van Wees starting. And if that had happened to where we could have dug out, Van Wees would have been poured on July 20th instead of September 23rd. You know, the delay that we're basically being punished for is all on Alliant. You know, it wasn't something that we did. You know, it was beyond our control. You know, as soon as we couldn't have Van Wees, then the site conditions, they're not what we bid, they're not what the contract was written on, and that 70 days goes out the window. I did send an email to French Reniker on July 26th, telling them, requesting more time because we couldn't work the two together, which we thought was fair. There was additional seating that no time was added to the contract for. There should have been 6 days there. That entire sidewalk along Van Wees should have had extra time added for that, was another 6 days. Then we got over to Kimberly, and we lose another 4 days for Alliant while they lower gas lines. I mean, our hands were tied through most of the summer. Then we get into the situation that we bid jobs that your job's going to be in this time frame. Then we bid work to get to the next time frame, because if our people don't work, they don't take home paychecks. So by the time the road is ready to actually be poured, he's down, 3 months down the road on the job he's supposed to be on, and we're trying to work back and forth to get everybody happy, which some people didn't get happy, but, what do? We just don't think it's right that we're getting penalized for a situation that was beyond our control. And it wasn't our responsibility to get the utility lines out of the right-of-way. It's the city's right-of-way.
Can I?
Sure.
First off, those roads are magnificent. Great job. Would hate to see this arrangement between the city and your company go sour over this. I would hate that.
It's not going to go sour. But we just, we just want to air what we have, and we'll have a good discussion about it.
Where's Alliant? They should be in the room.
Yeah.
But how do you, who's going to sue Alliant? You? Me?
Yeah.
We're looking at the information, trying to figure out what's fair here. The numbers that we had last week, the 127 minus the 75, 53, we're just trying to get back the 12,000 extra that we had to pay the engineers. $500 a day, that's not all of those days that we could penalize you for by the contract, so we're kind of looking at,
Well, except that there was, there was a request made in writing that never was addressed for the additional days. So, I mean, that should be dealt with.
I don't know about that.
Well, yeah, and I've sent it to Steve. I've got a copy of the email where, since the two streets could not be worked concurrently, that the time that we took us to do Van Weiss should have been added on. Because, we lost it. I mean, the dirt contractor had to move off-site 4 different times through this. And, we didn't submit a bill for him moving in and out extra times. We tried to work with it the best we could.
So was this extra time beyond the 5 days that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So how many extra days would that have been? What was that request for?
I didn't give specific numbers because I figured Steve and I would talk about it. There was 40 work days that Alliant took between the June 22nd to the August 5th that was actually counted. Then there's another 12 days in extra for the seating and the sidewalk. And then there's 4 days that over on the Kimberly for the gas lines.
So 70 days altogether?
40, 52, 56.
56?
56 days.
Yeah.
What's your idea?
Well, I think personally, I don't think that we should be penalized for Alliant.
Anything?
No. Our hands were tied. If the road had if we'd been able to do it, the job would have been done on time.
We've got some folks in the room that are going to be mad if we just throw away 12 grand.
Oh, yeah, we're following up on it. Daniel, part of, when we bidded this, we had a time frame. When we look at these jobs, I can't bid anything right now. I'm buried with work. So I'm not going to, if I had a chance to bid for you, I couldn't do it because I said, I can't do the time frame. When there were days when we could get here, I thought I'd be done. And all that concrete he's inspecting over there at Klein, there's thousands of yards over there. Where are you at, Mike?
Yeah.
You said you'd be here on this date, and we're ready. We want this road in, or we want this floor in. And so now, I have 23 guys, 2 crews. One sets forms, another pours concrete. So there might have been a day or two. Where are you at, Mike, in West Burlington? It got to be a situation where I had 3 or 4 balls in the air. Like 5 jobs going on at that time, and we just did not get a free run at it like we thought. We had a long halftime in that job. And
Yeah, it's real easy to look at this contract and go, we got everything on our side, but I understand what you're saying. I'd like to hear what some of the other council members feel about this.
I guess as we're going through, because we got copies of your calendar, and there were several days on here where it says no one was working. So are those days because of Alliant, or were those days that you were at another job? What are the days that are no one was working?
Those were, that's where we got into the scheduling conflict, because we were supposed to have been done with yours, and he had to go over to the other one and try and work back in with you. On some of those. Some of them we had a lot of rain in May.
Right, and those are indicated on here where it says too wet.
Yeah, but there was a few days I noticed that they did charge when it was still too muddy to go out, that he did charge on a couple of days. Not all of them, but just a couple. But our site guy had the same situation. When he had to move off-site, he had to go to another job so his people could work. He can't just, because this one's now ready, he can't just up and walk away from that one and run back here for a few days until he runs into the next conflict to go back.
So and you said Alliant finished on what date?
They finished on August 5th, and we started digging on Van Weiss on August 7th, and they was ready to start digging May 18th. If we had, if it was something we had done, we wouldn't be here talking about it. We would just accept it and move on. But, this one was out of our control.
This item that you're bringing to us is not on the agenda, so we can't take action on it tonight.
Okay.
And the silence is deafening here, so I'm thinking that probably we need to do this in our next work session, talk about this more.
Okay.
You guys discuss it, call us up, see if we can come to an agreement.
Well, that sounds more than fair.
Yeah.
We can always sit here and take input and listen and make some notes and
Okay.
you know,
Yeah,
discuss it further with our engineer and get his opinion of some of your input as compared to, you know, what he's told us, and look at it. I mean, I'm willing to look at it. Face value says some of these days actually were your fault because you made a conscious decision to work over there instead of here. Now, maybe that conscious decision got made because you had no other choice. And that's what I'm hearing from you, is you had, you know, you were already over there working, you couldn't just stop and come back. And I don't know that we took that into account maybe when we made the decisions we made. I don't know. And I guess I'm sitting here glad that you admitted that, I mean, you had to make those business decisions of to be here or to be there part of the time. I mean, part of that time was a conscious decision you had to make to keep your businesses running, to keep getting jobs, and to try to keep as many balls in the air as possible. So
We did that half-mile ring road at this, concurrently with this project at the hospital. And that was a huge deal, that they get the road in so that they could get in there and do the work.
Pressure was on.
So
Yeah.
I was hoping to have your project done before they said, Mike, where are you? Because I had signed a contract and on this date, you're gonna start. Okay, you guys, so it got to be where I had look, who yells the loudest on the phone?
We need a louder yeller. Well, I'm so glad you guys came in, because we were looking at it only from our side. And
Well, and, you know, and Mike, like that stretch of Van Wees, from the intersection down to where the road starts to taper was 1,400 feet. He had that bid to do it in 2 days.
Yeah.
You know, he poured it in 1 day, trying to help pick things up, you know. That's the way he does, you know, he's good at that.
Wow.
We'll work together, guys.
Yeah,
You have
so-
you guys discuss.
If you need anything
You
else-
call us up, like you say, we'll have an iced tea, we'll get it figured out.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Is there any other citizen that would like to come forward with comments?
know, most of them left. I guess we should have reminded them that there is a place at the end of the meeting to speak to if somebody so chooses.
I think they had a copy of the agenda.
Yep, they should have.
Right, well, then we'll move on to the public hearing. A public hearing for the plans, drawing specs, form of contract, and estimated cost for the Mount Pleasant Street Lift Station Upgrade Project. Have we received any written comments on it?
No written.
No? Anybody care to make comments from the council?
Question.
Is the public hearing then officially open?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I can close the public hearing. I just wonder if there's anybody else out there that does want to make a comment? Nobody rushing, so I'll close the public hearing.
Does this go out, your engineer's estimate?
Has not gone out.
When they come in and get the packet of information that they pay you $50 for, do they get this?
No,
Okay, I was just curious about that.
but we consider it public information, and if we're asked what our estimate is, we will provide.
Is that common? Do they commonly ask you?
Well, maybe a third.
Really? Okay. Looks to me like you've done a lot of the legwork for them.
If they want to use our estimate to bid from, they're welcome to that. That is a double-edged sword.
Dave, do you want to just come up and do the highlights here real quick? So everybody can hear you.
How much would you like me to address? Do you want
Not
me to
very much.
Or just to respond to your questions or comments?
Just give a brief synopsis for the people that aren't aware of what we're doing.
Okay, this is for the existing Mount Pleasant Street lift station, an upgrade.
Notice that you started to talk about sewer and we've lost most of our hope.
I think it's just his personality.
And I wouldn't have said that except this meeting needed a little lighter tone to it.
Well, I find it very exciting. And I suppose your response is, yeah, I probably would.
You deal with sewers all day.
I like to talk about.
I'm here to be abused, so go right
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
The project basically involves maintenance work to the lift station. One aspect will be exploratory excavation to determine what is underground in the way of some piping. Old documents are not complete at this point. That it has gone through not only the original construction, but at least one renovation, if not more. So there are some questions about what is there that causes the exploratory excavation. It also includes installation of 2 bypass connections on the force main. This will allow the contractor to bypass the sewage from the gravity sewer to the force main. It's not a bypass in the sense of discharging to the ground surface or to the creek. It's just bypassing the existing structure.
What will that look like? Will there be pumps up on the ground that will be visible?
There is one temporary connection or one bypass connection at the station now. It is too small. It also is inoperable. We were installing 2 new ones. They will just, ultimately, when it's done, you will only see a 12-inch pipe sticking up a foot or so above ground level. But the contractor will be required to provide temporary pumping, I expect by means of diesel-operated pumps. There will need to be multiple pumps. They're specified to be the size equivalent to the pumps in the lift station, so if there is a rain event, there shouldn't be any possibility of backup. So we have to keep the sewage pumping during the operation. There will also be installation of a flow meter, which will be helpful in the long term for improvements to the wastewater facilities when they become necessary in future years. The crux of the project then is replacement of all existing suction piping and all existing discharge piping inside that structure. That includes pipe spools, pipe fittings, and valves. And that essentially is the basis of the project.
The data recording, Randy, you guys go around writing down on clipboards now. Will this take the place of that, this data recording that you're referring to?
Well, in the case of flow metering, there is no flow metering there now, so this would be an addition.
Do you guys go down into that?
We have to clean the bar screens in the wet well.
Okay.
And then we write down the hours for each pump.
Just the hours?
So we can keep track of how many hours per day we pump at each lift station.
This is going to give us actual gallonage going through there?
It will. It will give it on a total for the day, for example. It will also provide the opportunity to record on essentially a continuous basis the rate of flow at any point in time, which will be helpful in the long term for treatment plant improvements.
Okay.
You have the dates that we're proposing for the receipt of bids on July 11th and the potential award of contract on July 18th. If you are in concurrence, then tomorrow we will fax the notice of projects that you have there to the list of contractors, suppliers, and plan rooms that we have developed. The plan rooms will publish this for their membership, which will increase the spread of information on the project. The list we have provided here with this notice of project is of contractors who we notified on the water project a couple of years ago. Also the list of plan holders from that project. So I think we've covered those pretty well in terms of who may be interested. The estimated cost, as we have developed it, is $304,500 for the cost of construction. I would point out also that we have called for a 60 calendar day construction window and completion by December 1st. That gives contractors some flexibility as to when they start, but once they start, they have 60 days to complete the work. If a contractor decides to start October 1st and work the 60 days through essentially December 1st, that will put him outside of the normal seeding period. I would expect that we would then write a supplemental contract or have some form of agreement that would allow them to seed the project next spring without penalty.
Okay.
Motion. Or do you guys have any more questions? Okay.
So you make the motion for the support?
I didn't make a motion. I need a motion.
Oh, you need, I thought you said you made the motion. Okay. I make the motion.
Support.
Motion with support for the,
Engineering services agreement.
Actually, this is for
no,
the.
actually,
this
it's
is
for
for
the
the-
resolution approving the drawing specs.
what I
of
meant.
the firm contract.
Number one.
I have a motion with support. Is there any other questions, comments, or concerns?
So you are talking about item one under.
Item one.
Underneath new business.
I was ahead to two.
That we never really moved to yet, but that's where we're at.
That's where we're at.
Okay.
I think that follows after the public hearing is closed. Yes. Roll call.
Please.
Aye.
West.
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Stewart.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 2 under new business. Would be consider resolution amending the engineering service agreement with Snyder Associates for the Mount Pleasant Street lift station upgrade project.
So moved again.
Support.
Motion with support. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
West.
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Stewart.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye. Item number 3. Consider a resolution approving an extension of the commercial tax abatement program.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion with support. Is there any questions or comments about our
There's
tax abatement program?
no changes to this from 5 years ago, Dan?
No, I don't have it. When this gets done, they'll have a comment to be made after we vote on this regarding what I mentioned in my memo about somebody requesting discussion on the resident, doing something similar for residential. But that would be a separate program, so let's get this taken care of first, and then I'll briefly talk about that.
Can you explain your thought process on us doing this every 5 years?
I think it's a good idea to look at it, look at what projects we've been able to get done. I think it makes good sense for the council to weigh whether this is really working or not, instead of just giving away tax abatements right and left and not thinking about it. Like I mentioned in my memo, because of this, we've got Coles, a Trailways expansion, a KPI expansion, the new stuff at Becker Plaza, and a new theater that all taken advantage of this tax abatement program. So obviously it's working for the time being. And so my recommendation is to approve it for another 5 years, and then we'll take a look at it and see whether we're still doing that, or if we're still making good progress like this, we can renew it again.
4 and 5 years if the rules change significantly.
Or a different council might think that they want, they don't like those percentages. I mean, it's just a good idea to take a look at it every so often.
Okay, thanks. I was just giving you an opportunity to mention all those things that we've done.
I knew what you were doing.
Okay, thanks.
All right, roll call then.
Crowner.
Aye.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Stewart. Lees.
Aye.
West.
Aye.
Approved.
Now on this residential, Linda out there in the audience had sent me an email and inquired about maybe doing this for residential. I know it's something that we haven't really talked about it ever. It'd have to be a separate, complete program, and I'm not sure how it works. I know Burlington has a program like that. It's one of those things. I know the mayor had mentioned that, and I'll make this comment because he asked me to. They already get 50% off their taxes, so they don't need this. That was the mayor's comment. Because they get the 50% rollback.
That commercials don't have.
That commercial doesn't have. But that being said, other cities do it. It works in some places. Other places it doesn't. And there's stipulations on how much improvement there has to be in order to get it. So, and it's a percentage of the total valuation. And I have to look at somebody's program and present that with you if you're interested. I just told Linda that I would mention it and see what kind of feedback I got from the council to see if it was worth looking into, to take a look at, and if so, I'd move forward and put it on an agenda sometime in the future with a
Is that something we could
plan proposal.
kick around at a work session a little bit?
Certainly.
It would be better in a work session.
Yeah, I mean, sitting here, I don't know why we wouldn't consider it.
Yeah.
At least talk about it and chew it around, and, I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't do that.
Building houses is one of our goals
Yeah.
that we've
Absolutely.
mentioned. It might be a way we can get there quicker than,
And you making your house, I don't mean you personally, but some neighbor making his house bigger, better, nicer improves the value of my house next to it. I mean, that's been our goal in this housing rehab thing that we're doing through Southeast Iowa Regional Planning, is we're trying to increase the value of the homes, which helps out the whole neighborhood, which helps out the whole street, which helps out our whole town. I don't know why we wouldn't consider doing such a thing.
Well, I don't either, but then I want to know if there's included add-ons, that you could get an abatement for that too.
I'll bring you an example of a couple of programs and we can talk about it.
I'm assuming if we treated it like businesses, Rick, it'd be the same thing. If you added X amount of value to your home, then part of that could be abated, just like a current business. If they add X amount of value to their current business, we tax abate part of that.
That's typically how it works. If your valuation goes up by, a lot of them use 25% or something, and then you get so much off of that for a certain period of time, and we can take a look at it.
There was something I asked you, when we were in the office like a couple of weeks ago about abatements and that stuff and add-ons and different things, and you said we couldn't do it here compared to what Burlington does with.
No, that was the.
It was an add-on type deal.
No, that was the enterprise zones. They get sales tax. They get sales tax benefits in Burlington that we don't get here when they build, because they're in an enterprise zone.
That was one of the other one. Okay.
We'll take a look at it.
Okay, good.
Item number 4 is consider the final reading of an ordinance establishing a speed limit and stop sign regulations for our new street,
So,
which is Autumn Lane. Have a motion with support. Any questions or comments about Autumn Lane?
I assume, Kelly, we've never received anything, have we? Okay.
No. Motion with support. Roll call.
Lees.
Aye.
West.
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Raleigh.
aye.
Stewart. Aye.
Item number 5 is to consider payment to Snyder and Associates for engineering services in the amount of $2,440.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion with support. Anybody have any questions about billing or anything?
This young lady, Kelly, was she pregnant or something?
Yes, she was.
And she isn't anymore?
She was.
Everything okay? Boy, girl?
Twins.
Do you know if it's a boy or a girl?
Yes, it was a girl.
Okay.
And I think they're really doing fine.
She back at work?
No, that's why I'm not doing fine. It'll be a few weeks yet.
Okay. Well, tell her we asked about her.
Roll call.
West.
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Stewart. Lees.
Aye. All right. Number 5 is to consider payment to Item number 6, to consider payment to Langman Construction for work on Broadway and Agency Street Storm Sewer Project and approve project as the final. Requesting $1,900 for the work. Then the retainage fee is $53,636.95.
We need to make a change on the second half of that. That's come up since I've written this memo. So the first half is fine. The second half, we need to change that number.
Make a motion to approve the $1,900 payment.
Support.
With support. Questions, comments, or concerns? Roll call.
Crowner.
Aye.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Stewart. Lees.
Aye.
West.
Aye.
Motion approved. Is the number lower for the second
Yeah,
half?
well, yeah. Randy can explain it, or Steve, either one. There's some seating that didn't quite take that we need to hold some money to make sure that gets done. That's all. I don't have the exact number, but these guys might have something.
I don't know what number Steve came up with. I've been talking with him and Mike Griffin, kind of keeping an eye on the grass situation. We just haven't had enough rain to get the grass to come in. Most places it's just weeds. When I talked to Steve yesterday, we had talked about maybe double what their bid was for seeding and giving them the rest of their money back. I don't think we're gonna have an issue with them coming back, but that's just standard procedure that we retain enough to make sure that we get the seeding done. Other than that, I mean, I was in favor of closing out the project till we started looking, and the grass really hasn't started to come in, so Steve would have to tell you what he would recommend for a retainage on grass.
Yeah, I mean, a day ago I was worried that we didn't have these pay estimates right because the seating's not acceptable yet. They showed paying the seating. And then I got to thinking, well, technically they did seed it. The bid item is $2,000. So like Randy said, what I suggest is approved release of retainage except for twice the amount of seating. So that if for instance, Langman doesn't come back, you can hire somebody else. You should be able to get somebody else for twice the bid price to have it done right and get it finished in the fall. So I guess if you want a recommendation, that's what I would suggest.
So 6,000 is what you're saying?
No,
4,000? 2,000. I thought you said 3. Sorry.
I'm glad you all brought that up because I was a little concerned about this recommendation to accept this project because the grass isn't there. And
right.
There is weeds, and so.
Randy, when Nelson seeded here at the mall, was that oats that came up first?
I'm not sure what it was. It could have been a rye. I mean,
They planted that in with the grass seed?
right, just to get some cover, and then that would allow the better grass to come in, in time, and so it surprised me that it came in like it did, getting planted as late as it did.
Came in great.
last year.
Yeah, came in great.
Yeah, it looks fine out there. I was very happy with how the whole project turned out.
So I would make a motion to pay Langman Construction $49,636.95 of their retainage. That's minus the $4,000 that is recommended by the engineer.
Support.
Support.
We'll make that payment in 30 days.
Is this approving the project, accepting the project, or are we waiting to do that?
I think we can accept it since we're keeping that retainage because we can hire somebody else if we.
Do you want that in your motion to read accepting?
It was not in my motion to recommend accepting closing of the project because I wouldn't think you'd want to do that, but.
Just to pay them
Yeah. I mean,
that amount.
I could
can do it
easily be
either way.
wrong. I've been wrong many times in my
You can
life.
do it either way. If that's the way your motion is, let's do it that way.
Well, I would think we would go back to them first and
Sure.
say, are you going to come reseed this because it isn't coming in? So if that's what we're going to do, then you wouldn't close out the project.
So if I'm clear, we're gonna pay him $49,636.95 and not close out the project, right?
Not.
Okay.
You could call it substantial completion as an explanation of why you're releasing most of the project. The project is substantially complete, it's working the way it was designed to work. It's just, the finished code is not done.
You got that, Kelly? All right, roll call.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Stewart. Aye. Lees.
Aye.
West.
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Item number 7. Once again, we'll discuss holding some regular city council work sessions.
This is something I was asked about last meeting. I told Kara to put this on the agenda so we talk about it, and we've bounced it around several times and never decided anything. So it's on the agenda so we can talk about it again. There's lots of ways we can do this. I know Burlington meets every Monday. 2 of them are work sessions, 2 of them not. I don't think we need to do it that much. One way that it might work is one of our meeting nights, we could come an hour early and have a work session before that. That's one way we could do it. Or we could meet on pick an off Wednesday and meet that. It's whatever you guys want to do. You all have to come, so.
Currently meet on the 1st and 3rd Wednesdays, correct?
Correct.
Seems simple to just take that 2nd Wednesday and make that a work session one. It would be before the next council meeting, so if there was something you needed to talk about, you could then have it on the next agenda. I don't know that everybody else is gonna like that or not, but.
No, I think that's fine, but only if there's something to talk about. I mean, if there's nothing there, I'm not coming. I mean, if we have, let's not have a meeting to have a meeting. Let's have a meeting if we have an agenda.
Well, as long as we don't have a discussion that lasts 3 hours at a regular meeting. I mean, if we know there's going to be something to talk about, then we need to have that work session prior to the meeting to do that.
I'd like to have it penciled in on my calendar that I will schedule nothing for the 2nd Wednesday of the month, but I'd like to see that canceled way more often than we have them.
Well, that's the only time I could even do it because sports are not even involved, so I wouldn't be here from August until probably March.
But Wednesday evenings you can't be.
Wednesday evenings
just
I
like
can't,
this.
yeah. Unless you want to do an hour before the meeting.
And I agree with you, Dan. I don't want to have meetings we don't need to have them, but it as Kara brought it up at the last meeting, it seems like we keep having things that we wish we would have discussed at a work session, and I think we would all be better informed and all more, able to move forward if we had some of those on occasion. And you even had a couple of things tonight. You said,
2 items I wrote
thing to
down.
discuss at a work session. So I don't think we'll ever get that done if we don't just schedule one and know that we're going to do that. There might be some periods of time during the year, but I have a feeling most periods of time of the year, there's something we probably need to be discussing. I don't know.
Exactly. I just think that it's a good idea so that we do have that opportunity to discuss the things. That's why I brought it up again, because we do come into our meetings on a regular basis and say, oh, well, we should have discussed that a little bit more.
Yeah, we do.
So that we don't get into those situations.
Right then.
And you'd have the same problem as
We'll make the
any
2nd
other
Wednesday
day
a work
Wednesday
session.
because you got your boy.
Right, for a while and see how it
Yeah, and
goes.
Wednesdays are fine.
Sounds good.
We want to keep it for 6 o'clock?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's everybody's schedule?
Yep.
That also makes it easy, occasionally, Mayor and Gifford and Kelly have asked for special meetings, that they've tried to move one forward because of something that has to be done. This would give you another set date that's already there. You change it on a whim from a work session to a regular council meeting, and you can get accomplished those things that
Like I said-
occasionally, at least once a year, we seem to have something like that.
Like I say over and over again, anytime there's 3 or more of you there, it's a meeting, whether you call it a work session or a meeting, it's always a meeting.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah.
It needs to be published and all that.
Yep.
Okay.
That will do it.
So when do we want to start?
Well, we're already meeting off Wednesday for the one we're missing 4th of July for next week, so it looks like it'd be August start. Because we've already talked about moving the meeting that would be on July 4th to July 11th, which would be the second Wednesday that we were going to have the work session on.
All right, everybody?
Well, the only problem being, you just told some people you were gonna have a work session and talk about this bill that they wanted to discuss, and so when are you gonna do that?
That's a good
August.
question. When do you want to do that?
Well, I'm just saying, we just told these people that, hey, we ought to discuss that at a work session, but we don't have one scheduled, and so.
So you can pick any night with me, that's fine, it's not August yet. Except for the 28th and 29th, I got to umpire.
Yeah, I don't know what things look like.
Okay, well, tomorrow you can look at your calendars and get back to us. I just don't want to sit here and as a council tell them people we'll talk about this and then.
Let them think that we dropped it. But if we'd called them and told them, hey, it's gonna be
Well,
the second week in
As
August.
long as you, I suppose.
Well, you talked about having a 4th of July meeting next Wednesday,
We could do it
the
after.
27th,
Yeah,
if you wanted.
I don't care. I'm just saying,
That'd be the only Wednesday in the next few that aren't gonna be booked up. So if you wanna do it on a Wednesday, the 27th is the day.
I don't set meetings. I'm just saying we need to address that situation. And if we're gonna wait till August to talk about it, that's fine, but then you need to tell them that we're gonna keep their, however much money that was, for sure that long. I don't care.
I'd rather not wait, and I think we can resolve that pretty quickly. That'd be my suggestion, do it next Wednesday after.
Well, you do it at 6, and we won't do the
Can
4th
you
of
be
July
here?
thing till 7.
Can you be here at 6?
On Wednesdays?
Next
Yeah.
Wednesday?
Yeah, on Wednesdays.
Oh, yeah, let's do that then.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with Wednesdays.
Then why do you have the meeting so late? That's iced tea time.
Just so you can't have your tea.
That's not fair. That's not right.
All right, so we'll have a work session on the 27th then at 6.
And we'll talk about that, and I'll try to get some residential stuff for you to look at too before then.
I don't have anything for old business.
Can I address old business?
Sure.
Would that be okay? I know it's not on there, but since it's on there, but we didn't put anything on there. I guess I'd just like to say underneath old business concerning Mike's 8% raise, it's a known fact that I strongly disagreed with that, but that I do highly respect the 3 council people that voted for that and their right and opinion to do so. Those 3 council people are good West Burlington citizens doing this job and making decisions from their heart and with the best information they have. And I hold no personal grudges on that and would hope that our citizens who do need to come and voice their opinion and give us their ideas need to do that, and I'm glad to see them do that, and would agree with the basics that I don't think we should have did that, but we did do it, and we need to move on. That's all.
Thank you.
Hans didn't leave anything for me for mayor's inquiries. Last chance for citizens' inquiries before we, Steve?
If I could back you up to item 6 there, considering the final pay estimate for Langman on the road and agency, I also submitted the final pay estimate for the Houston Street project too. It's an identical situation. There's 2 pay estimates. One is for final quantities, which the only payment that shows up on that is the seating. And then there's another pay estimate for the lease for paint. I don't know if we got that. I know it's a lot of paperwork and maybe it's
Not in here.
I don't know, Steve. I don't recall that one. You might want to send that to us again, because.
I've got the original here. I can leave them with you.
Yeah, you might do that, because I don't recall getting those.
We have a work session in
And
August.
there our work session next Wednesday becomes a council meeting, so we can improve. I mean, that's how it's gonna be.
Yeah.
No problem, sir.
Steve, is that something that can wait until July 11th, or do they need the money before then?
The amount on final quantity on that $475, so it's probably okay to leave it to the next council meeting.
Okay.
I don't want to speak for the contractor, but I think that would be great.
Yeah, that should be fine. I doubt whether they call us looking for their $400.
Well, never know. All right, and then, one last request for any further citizens inquiries before we adjourn. Nope. I'll take a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
Support?
Aye.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye, aye. Meeting's done, and we are adjourned.